Applying to jobs is a soul-crushing task that usually just ends in a rejection anyway. To make matters worse, every once in a while you run into a job posting by a company you never heard of, asking for a cover letter detailing why you want to work for them. When I don't know the company, I just stuff some info into ChatGPT and tell it to make a template for me. The problem is, I actually have to spend time pasting extra information like the job posting details. This adds a huge overhead of 15 seconds. So the solution? Spending hours of my life designing an app that makes the cover letter for me. The first thing I did was set up the project. I love having a ton of hard to read, non-reusable components as much as the next guy, but I decided I'd make things a little easier for myself by using the React framework for the user viewable front end, and for tasks that happen in the back end, I'd be using Fast API. My front end experience is questionable.
Are you sure?
So for now, I just put some placeholder values of what the user would put in, copied a styling template from a website I had made a year earlier, changed some colors, and focused on the backend. In the background, I needed some kind of large language model, similar to ChatGPT or Llama. After searching around a bit, I decided to use Ollama by Facebook, or Meta, to download a small Llama model locally. And in the meantime, I decided how the output would be sent to the front end. I really like the way ChatGPT answers a question, as it seems to output its responses in real time. This isn't simple to reproduce because normally the front end actually has to request data before receiving a response. The model's data would change as it generates a response, and the front end has no way to know that the data changed, so it just wouldn't request again. To solve this, I just used WebSockets. Instead of the typical GET method I described, both sides just connect to one socket and can send to each other at the same time. In this case, the front end just receives the output anytime it's available, instead of explicitly requesting it. I set this up on Fast API, and as a quick test, I asked Llama the same question I asked my parents when I was a toddler, and verified that it worked. Then I just set up the connection on the front end and stress tested a little bit. The next task was to send the user data and job posting to the back end. Technically, you can just send it all straight to the model without storing it, but since the user is going to remain more or less the same, it wouldn't make sense to keep re-inputting everything every time you want to make a cover letter. So I decided to make a database using Postgres, mainly because it was easy to set up with a single command, and then did the remaining setup needed to connect the database to the actual routes. When I was done, it was finally time to create the letter. I got what I needed from the database and used it to create a prompt that explains how to generate a letter. For some reason, it didn't seem to generate correctly, and I felt the problem was how long the prompt was after adding all that information to it. So I decided instead to only give it the most relevant information. To do this, I would use RAG. The way it works is you connect a large language model to a database, and you give the model a sentence. It looks in the database for similar occurrences. For example, if I were to have these 3 sentences in a database, then give it a sentence like oranges taste good, it would give me this sentence because apples are similar to oranges as they're both fruits. The way I used this for my case was by taking the resume and chunking it and then storing it in the database. Then I used the job posting as the query input. This would give me only the relevant resume chunks, which I would then pass to the prompt. Making this obviously didn't take long, and once I had it set up, it was time to reap the fruits of my labor.
I am.
Okay, so it didn't work, and the real issue was solved in 5 minutes. It turned out that Llama was just generating the text way faster than it took to send over the socket, so instead, anything that Llama outputted, I just stored it onto an array, and when the socket was ready, that's when I would actually put everything onto it. Most people would be upset they spent hours wasting their time solving the wrong problem, but I wasn't, because I was able to practice a new technology in a hands-on way. Anyway, to finish up the backend, I switched the model to one with more parameters, since the old one was saying weird things, and sometimes just refused to listen. Finally, I redesigned the front end, tested a little more, and now that I had completed my project, it was finally time for the acceptances to come rolling in.